5 young American Muslims calling Washington, D.C. area their home. They're under arrest now in Pakistan. Swept up in a raid on a house linked to a militant group that goes back years, the group does. The case raising new fears that the recruiting ground for radical jihadists has shifted. Was this radicalization in our nation's capital? Steve Emerson's my guest now. He's the director of investigateproject.org. Steve, good morning to you. How is it that the United States is now emerging as a breeding ground for terrorists?
Well, you know, Bill, the warning signs were manifest 3 years ago in a Pew poll of American Muslims when it was revealed that a third of American Muslims between the ages of 18 and 29 supported suicide bombings. And that primarily, that radicalization that we should have picked up on, but we didn't, has suddenly spawned dozens of plots that are homegrown of second-generation American Muslims who want to carry out jihad or plan to carry out jihad either here or abroad. And this year alone, we've seen 9 such plots. So, Bill, it should not be surprising that this is occurring. What is surprising is the extent to which it has occurred so rapidly on American soil. We've become sort of Europeanized.
Now, you're sitting there with the Capitol building behind you. These men came from your area, from our nation's capital. They had U.S. passports. What do these guys do? At least one of them was going to Howard University. Do they fire up the computer and take in all the noise of jihad?
Well, we don't really know what exactly was the motivating force behind their recruitment. It could have been local Islamic leaders. It could have been the mosque they attended. It could have been the Internet, as you pointed out. Certainly the Fort Hood shooter was radicalized by Anwar al-Awlaki, the Yemeni cleric connected to 9/11. So there are multiple forces that are generating a narrative. And that narrative is that there's a war against Islam. That's the single most compelling component in recruiting jihadists on American soil, particularly young Muslim men.
Well, here's where it gets tricky. The families reported them missing. It wasn't an agency that caught them. The families reported them missing. They tracked them down in Pakistan. That's how this alleged plot was uncovered, Steve.
Right, and usually the FBI has been successful in interrupting such plots, particularly when there's a conspiracy that is 2 or more people involved. When it's a single shooter like Fort Hood, it's almost impossible to stop. But here, we also know that one of the men, his father, was connected to Jaish Mohammed, the Islamic terrorist group based in Pakistan that was actually connected to Al-Qaeda, and he may have been involved in the recruitment of his son and the other 4 colleagues.
Oh, that's interesting. Jaish Mohammed, by the way, they're connected to the killing of Danny Pearl back in 2002. That's the same group about 100 miles south of Islamabad. Do we know much of what these men were trying to accomplish? Why did they go to Pakistan? What was the alleged plot? Do we have facts on that?
We really don't at this point. Presumably, Pakistani authorities will have more, and the FBI will have more once they examine the computers and email accounts of these young men.
But the families have already said they saw some video where they swore to jihad.
Right. Look, I have no doubt that they were involved in trying to append themselves to a jihadi movement, Jaish Mohammed, in either carrying out a terrorist attack or providing material support. I don't think there's any doubt about that based on the farewell video that one of them left, basically a jihadist farewell video. So I think that is definitely the purpose of why they left. The question is, you know, what they were up to, and we don't know that yet, and we won't know that until the Pakistani authorities interrogate them or transfer them back to the United States for prosecution.
All it takes is one to slip through. Let's hope it's not the case. Major Hassan, some argue, might have been the first one, homegrown, an American citizen, which is what Al-Qaeda wants. Steve Emerson, thank you, out of Washington today. All right.